Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special. I am Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
We'll recap some NBA basketball from last night. Preview tonight's game 5 between the Cavs and the Pistons. We'll get into some sports headlines, some stories all over. Plus, we'll have comedian and actor Michael Blackson, who will be performing at the Well Comedy Club this Friday and Saturday. And you can call or text in anytime throughout the show at 661-842-2000.
The African king of comedy. I'm very excited to talk to this man. I'm a big Wild 'N Out fan, grew up a big Wild 'N Out fan, and I'm a fan of his, have been since I've seen him on the show. He's been in a ton of different movies. You've probably seen him in Coming to America 2. If you're a really big fan of Friday, he was in the Next Friday movie when he was younger. Again, very small role, but he has grown from there and is seen to become one of the best comedians in the space. So I can't wait to talk to him about his show this weekend at the Well. Tickets are still available at thewellcomedyclub.com. But as Sparky said, we got to start in the world of the NBA because we had a game 5 yesterday and we have one today that we have to get you ready for. Obviously, last night, the Spurs and the Timberwolves going at it. We told you guys yesterday, Victor Wembanyama, the star of the Spurs, escaping his suspension after being ejected from game 4. The league came out and said, he got suspended in the second quarter. He lost pretty much the entire game. So that's a suspension. We told you guys there's a little bit of validity to that. Plus, Vic has never really been in trouble in the league. So a one-time occurrence, kind of understood why he wasn't suspended. But at the same time, as you heard me say yesterday, probably should have kept this uniform. However, we told you guys yesterday one of two things were going to happen. Either Victor Wembanyama was going to step up in this game and make it all worth it and make it up to his teammates, or the Timberwolves were going to come out absolutely livid that the league shafted them in this situation and they were going to take control of the series behind their star in Anthony Edwards. Well, the former happened. Victor Wembanyama had an incredible game last night, led the Spurs to a 126-97 win over the Timberwolves. It seemed pretty dang easy in this one. All of the Timberwolves starting 5 really shot solidly in the 40%, but everybody else couldn't make a basket last night. And that's because of the incredible defense that the Spurs have been putting on in this entire playoff run. Wembanyama ended with 27 points, 17 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 5 assists. An incredible game from a young big man. They're just showing everybody right now why they are the more likely of the two to really not only win this series, but take out the number 1 seed in the Oklahoma City Thunder. But we still have at least one more game to go. That'll be on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, in Minnesota. That's going to be a tough game to really wrap it up. We'll probably see this one go 7. What say you, my friend?
I think the Spurs wrap it up.
You think it's done in 6?
I think the Timberwolves had their chance. I think they played them tough until late third, early fourth. That game was, single digits, and they just let off the gas. And either that or the Spurs just turned it on. I enjoyed the game. I'm a big Wemby fan. I still don't think they're going to get past OKC, though.
It's a good thing for them because they've played OKC very well this season. I have to look up the actual record against Oklahoma City, but if I'm not mistaken, they won the series against them this year. So that's a good thing if you're a Spurs fan. One thing that I was shocked about with this game, though, is the lack thereof of essentially governing themselves as I thought we were going to see. Maybe it's because the Timberwolves were born before the game. You take retaliation and we'll take it upon ourselves to, take liberties upon you. So God only knows, but I was expecting at least a rougher game for Vic. A little bit of a tough man mentality from Rudy Gobert or even Julius Randle to rough him up for what he did to their guy.
Julius.
I don't know what's up with him. Because one game he will look like the Julius Randle that we knew back when he played for the Lakers, and he looked fantastic, was a rough, tough power forward. They were trying to make into the next guy. And then there's games like last night where he looks about as soft as Karl Anthony Towns and really can't stop a big man. And I wonder what's going on there, because that's why I told you guys yesterday, when it comes to sports, this is a brotherhood kind of a thing. You would expect these teams to really step up and govern themselves when certain things don't go the way they would expect them to. Victor Wembanyama, in all intents and purposes, should have been suspended for this game.
I don't think so.
Well, if it was anybody else, it would feel like he would have been suspended for this game. Let's say it that way.
If you had a history, I'm sure.
Sure.
I mean, if it was Draymond, he'd probably get suspended for 2 games.
If it was Draymond, he wouldn't come back the rest of the playoffs. Let's be honest.
I think it was just because it was a playoff game. He missed a half of basketball, and it's his first time.
Yeah, and you said it yesterday too. You can't pull out the star of the series, and not just the star of the Spurs, the star of the series. He is the top guy. I love Anthony Edwards, but at this point, he does take a step down to Victor Wembanyama in terms of star power. So removing him from a game 5 not only kills viewership for the NBA, but it just kills the entire momentum of the series. And you said it perfectly yesterday, Spark. It really would derail the whole thing. And if the Spurs lost in 6, all people would be saying is, well, yeah, it's because the NBA pulled Vic out of game 5.
The NBA is soft.
Yeah, the NBA is soft and doesn't want to go back to the hard, rough times of the 90s. So it's really not a win-win for the NBA at all, no matter if they had suspended Victor Wembanyama or kept him in this game. I was expecting more, I guess. I don't know. I was expecting more of a rough, tough answer from the Timberwolves. Yeah. Rather than this blowout win that we really saw. And you said it well as well. This may have ended a 19-point victory for the Spurs, but it really wasn't that big of a deficit until about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the third quarter, where it just looked like they all said, well, yeah, let's go back to Minnesota. We out. Like it exactly really didn't look like it.
That's exactly how it felt. Ant came out swinging in the first half. I was like, okay, they're going to make it a series, but he can't do it by himself.
No.
And I mean, Randall, I don't remember what the stat was in the second half, but he couldn't buy a bucket.
No. And again, that's what I'm saying is that I know you're being defended very well. I know the Spurs aren't slouches in that area, but you're a star on this team, my guy. I mean, before Ant was really relevant, you were the star on this team. Even when Karl Anthony Towns was there, everybody was kind of leaning saying, or I'm sorry, when they made the trade with Karl Anthony Towns to get him over there, I apologize. Everybody was saying this could be the necessary move that the Timberwolves needed to really make this work because they had the 2 big men at the same time, Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. It wasn't working like they wanted. They thought Julius Randle coming over would be that guy, especially since he was that guy in New York for the Knicks. I'm just wondering where he's at right now because Anthony Edwards, I love seeing him healthy. I love seeing that he can go 39 minutes in this game. And again, would we expect probably a 30-point game from Ant? Sure. But that's difficult to do. What's not difficult to do is ask your teammates to step up and have a 20-point game when you know they are capable of doing so.
It is the playoffs.
Yes, and that is the issue right now. So we'll see what happens in game 6. Minnesota needs this, obviously. Otherwise, they will be staying in Minnesota and we'll be seeing a Western Conference Finals of the Oklahoma City Thunder against the San Antonio Spurs.
Which we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, and we did call at the beginning of the season, if I am being honest. But let's switch over to the Game 5 you're going to see tonight because, unfortunately, my Cavaliers are probably going to lose tonight. Again.
Oh, man.
I don't mean to sound like a pessimistic fan. I don't. But 0-5 so far in away games. You haven't showed me anything that you can win away. And there's a JB Bickerstaff-led team that's going to be waiting for you in the Palace that knows how to slow you down. This game is going to be interesting because it's pivotal for Cleveland to win this game. If they do not, I would not be surprised if they trip up and lose in game 6. And they wrap this whole thing up. Detroit's waiting for the Knicks to get there as the number 1 seed. And honestly, I kind of hope that happens because that's the only way the Knicks are going to have a troubled series in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now waiting for 2 straight series that are going to at least 6 or 7 where the team's going to be drained. And imagine if Cleveland does win this series, they're in the exact same spot the Sixers were. They now get to hop on a plane, go to New York while the Knicks have been waiting there for a week. It's not going to look pretty in game 1. It wouldn't. So if I'm Detroit, I'm finding whatever way possible to make sure Donovan Mitchell does not go off for 30 tonight.
And that's the only way they're going to win.
Yes.
I think, I mean, we've seen it and you've said it, Cleveland is a whole different team on the road, but you remove Mitchell and they got nothing.
Right. The biggest thing for me, if you're a Cleveland fan, we need a massive game from Evan Mobley. I'm throwing it out there. James Harden, we're getting what we're getting. 20 points, maybe 8 to 12 assists if he gets a good night. Hope and
6
pray.
turnovers.
Yeah, hope and pray he doesn't have a massive amount of turnovers. But this is what you're getting with James. You're not getting anything better. I'm sorry, you're not. So we need the young cat. We've seen Jared Allen do it, and that turned around the last series. We need the other big man to do it. Show you got some life. You're the only one that hasn't yet. You had a big game defensively the other day, but offensively, we know you can do more. So if we can get a massive game out of Evan Mobley, especially since this, I mean, when you look at the matchup situation, Tobias Harris is a fantastic big man. Jalen Duren, fantastic big man. But there is no reason that Evan can't use his skill set to figure out a way around him. Tobias is getting older. He's slower on the defensive side. Although he's stout, you could still find a way to move around him. Duren is the only one that you have to worry about because he's equally as good as you are on the defensive side. So if they could figure out a way to mix that up, get the favorable matchup, maybe set a screen for Harden and get a guard on Evan, make that work. And I swear Cleveland will walk out of this game with a win. But they need a big game from Evan Mobley. That's my biggest takeaway from today.
And the normal Mitchell 30 plus at least.
I mean, again, that's what we're going to get from those two, though. That's why I'm saying James Harden, Donovan Mitchell. True. Donovan Mitchell on the road, too. And I won't sit here and deny.
Head scratchy, man, and on how different the team is on the road and at home.
Well, even watching Donovan Mitchell in game 4, he was 1 of 8 in the first half with 4 points. Then he turned it on and ended with 40 plus. They're streaky, and that's the issue. But that's what I'm saying is you've caught fire with Donovan. Just hope and pray he stays on fire. You know what you're going to get from James. At least he's been consistent with it, about 18 to 20 points, and unfortunately about 4 to 6 turnovers, but it is what it is. We need one of the other two guys, namely Evan Mobley, to be the guy to step up in this game. And especially since now, just throwing this out there, if Cleveland really is one of these suitors for Giannis Antetokounmpo, if you want to stay in Cleveland, just throwing that out there, and you don't want to go to Milwaukee, I would start playing pretty hard right now. Because if I'm Cleveland and we lose this series, all I'm doing is calling up Milwaukee and saying, we got 2 big men here that could easily help your rebuild. Both Evan and Jarrett are on the board. I love Jared Allen, but he's been cycled around in trade rumors for Cleveland for a while now. And if they moved on from Darius Garland, they will gladly move on from Jared Allen at the same time. So if I am one of those 2 big men and you don't want to be moved, you want to stay on this squad, tonight's the night to really prove that they shouldn't move you and that you have what they have been trying to get out of you. Because Evan Mobley specifically, they brought in Kenny Atkinson to open up Evan Mobley's offensive game. They thought JB Bickerstaff would really sharpen the tools defensively, which it did. But if Evan Mobley doesn't start showing some turnaround offensively, there's no point for Cleveland to keep him. Especially when you got a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is an easy 30 and 10 every night. Now, again, we're going to figure out the contract situation, and hopefully James Harden is packaged in this trade as well, and we get rid of him. But I'm just throwing it out there that if you want to stay in this place, you want to continue to build with this team, tonight is a great night to really step up and show the organization, don't give up on it.
Yeah, and even on top of it, it's a playoff game. If you want to stay in the playoffs and you have, you want to get into a championship, you have to win a road game.
Yes, 100%.
And trust me, you don't want to get backed into a corner and have to play game 7 in Detroit.
And you're not, if you don't win a home or an away game in this series, you really expect to win one in Madison Square in an Eastern Conference Finals.
As the team has been relaxing for the last week,
I highly doubt that's going to happen. And that's what concerns me. But again, the Knicks are just playing great basketball, so you can't really, hold that against them. Hopefully this break actually kind of slows that down a little bit. Just throwing that out there. But we'll see what happens tonight. It's going to be a massive game for both. And honestly, when it comes to the Detroit Pistons, They just got to keep playing basketball and figure out a good way to play two good halves of basketball. I've stressed that since the beginning of the playoff series. They should have wrapped up Orlando easily, but they couldn't find a way to play two good halves. This is the same situation that they're going through right now when it comes to Cleveland. If they could figure out how to play two good offensive halves of basketball, they could win the next two games handedly. And honestly, just behind Cade Cunningham himself, who's an easy 28 to 30 points a night if you get him going right. So we'll see what happens. But offensively, it's as simple as that for Detroit, in my opinion, unless you got something else, my friend. But personally, I just think if they could figure out a way to have two solid halves of basketball, I know everybody's saying, well, duh, Burdick. Well, yeah, but that's not as simple as it sounds in the NBA, clearly.
It's as easy as it sounds of you have to win a road game.
Exactly. So it's like, yes, duh. We're obviously grappling at the low hanging fruit here, but that is the simplicity of this series. That's why it's so head scratching sometimes when we watch some of these games, because like we were just talking about with the Timberwolves, there are certain games where we see the star players turn into what we were hoping they would be. And then there's some games where they are nowhere to be freaking found. And most of the time, that's when they're not at home. So Cleveland has to win this game tonight, in my opinion. Has to. This is a no questions asked kind of a situation. Because if you don't win game 5, there's a good chance you lose game 6. You have a 2-game swing going on here, all the momentum in the world. I know you haven't won one in away all playoffs, but if there was one team, the inexperienced Detroit Pistons would be that team for you to finally pick up that road win. We'll see what happens tonight. But again, if the Detroit Pistons can find a way to put two good offensive halves of basketball together, I don't even know if that's going to be possible for Cleveland. I really don't, because Cleveland can't score more than 114 points, and most of these teams in the NBA could get up to 130, 140, as you've seen with the Knicks. So let's take a break real quick. We'll move away from the NBA. We told you guys yesterday there's been a development in the Tiger Woods situation. Prosecutors have been given access to his medical records, which means they're going to be looking into all of those prescription drugs that Tiger has been given. And if he was on something he wasn't supposed to be at the time of the crash, Tiger might be in trouble. So we'll talk about that a little bit on the other side. Plus, for you Ted Lasso fans out there, I found a really interesting story that one of the stars of the show just got signed to a 10-day contract of a football team. So we'll talk about that as well. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
I always love your song choices, but it makes me want to sit here and actually listen to them. I haven't heard this song in forever.
Worst band ever live.
Really?
Yeah, it was sad.
Oh, did you see them at the height of the career though, or did you see them like towards the spiral?
I mean, Spiral's been going on for
I know,
like
that's what
15
I'm
years.
For those of you who have no idea what we're talking about on YouTube, because I know you can't hear right now, but he's playing Livewire, and honestly, if you watch
Kickstart My Heart.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Kickstart My Heart.
But
They
either way,
sound
it's the same crap band of
They-
Motley Crue.
I mean, they most of their top songs all sound the same. Let's all
Right.
be honest here. But again, that's why I have to know though, because some bands were great at the height, but the spiral made it really ugly.
I saw them like mid 90s, and they were crap. They even walked off the stage on how crappy they sounded.
Oh, that sucks.
I was like, you suckers.
Wow.
But yeah, I
They
lost a
cleaned
lot of
that up,
respect
though.
for them.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. And honestly, I've been to a couple shows, comedy and music shows that were like that, and it's just never good on the like performer's side. You know what I mean? Like
most of the time.
Well, I don't mean like necessarily like they suck. I mean more of like if you walk away from it, it makes you look worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you would just stand up there, give the people a show, even if it sucked, at least you tried, and people could say, you know what, it wasn't the best show in the world, but I respect him for staying out there and giving us something.
Oh yeah.
When you get so angry and full of yourself, where you're just like, well, you know what, I'm out of here, and you just leave.
Yeah, you said somebody threw a lighter at him, so he left. I was like,
really?
You're supposed to be metal, dude. Like, really? A lighter?
A lighter?
It wasn't that you sang off tune the first 3 songs.
And again, at that time, it was probably right in the middle of all the bad stuff that was going on, or at least the start of it. And yeah.
So Motley
Crue, a lot to go into
suck.
that. Yeah, that again, I'm not surprised, but at the same time, that does kind of suck to hear because I did enjoy their music for a little bit there. But let's get to some of the miscellaneous stories throughout the day.
Oh, there's all sorts of them.
I know. We told you guys yesterday. Let's just start with this one, get it out of the way. As we said before the break, and we told you guys yesterday, Tiger Woods, he might be in a little bit of trouble here because the prosecutors in his case in Florida have now gained access to his medical records and all of his prescription drugs. Now, they did a toxicology report, so I believe they know everything that was in his system. As I said before the break, if there is one drug on that list, even if it's whatever the heck was in his system, or they see on the list itself that says, do not operate a motor vehicle and or any heavy machinery, homeboy is in trouble. It does not matter how popular or how famous he is. The world is going to be calling for it at some point because this is now 3-4 times that something like this has happened, and he hasn't really had anything other than a slap on the wrist and told, stop doing that.
You know who I am?
I adore Tiger. I know what Tiger means to golf. Okay. But this is beyond sports. This is a safety thing. We've said it a million times in this show. We've heard a lot of people say it outside of this show, or guests come on and say it as well. Just hire a freaking driver. Fixes all of these problems. But I know he's sitting there saying, I want my privacy. I don't want people knowing what I'm doing. Okay. If
stay off the road.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there are other ways to go about your life without driving. You could still, I don't know, call an Uber, pull a Kobe, hire a freaking helicopter to take you places. Like, just stop getting behind the wheel is what everybody keeps telling you. But this could get even worse because if these things progress and there's more in his system that he wasn't prescribed, now we're looking at drug charges. And DUI charges are already on the ledger. So Tiger, albeit he probably goes to a more fancy prison, not one of your usuals, but he still could be seeing time. And imagine what that's not only going to do to his legacy, but imagine what that's going to do to the kids who are trying to get into the sport right now. His niece was supposed to be the star of this whole future golf league that they are making. Then there's obviously Charlie, who everybody already is hoping and praying that he gets into pro golf just solely because of who his daddy is. so they could follow in other woods again. If I'm one of those kids, I'm looking at it saying, you know what? I don't want this. I don't want this smoke. I don't want to be known as Tiger's son or Tiger's daughter like that. I want to be known as me, like a lot of these other athletes' kids do. I've met a lot of them. I mean, I've met Ken Griffey Jr.'s son before. Asked him, why didn't you get into baseball like your dad and your grandpa? Same answer he gave, or same answer I'm pretty much giving you is what he gave me. Do you know who my dad and grandpa are? Do you really think I can live up to that? And that's not, the second part's not what he said, but that's me expanding on it. But it's a good point. When they have a legacy and you either have to live up to it or live with it, it's a lot to carry. So I'm wondering what this is going to do to Charlie, what this is going to do to his niece, how this is going to hinder them. And really, I hope Tiger starts thinking about that type of stuff because he really does affect them. He may not directly affect them, but the media for sure will never stop hounding him about it. They will never have to live it down because the public's going to talk about it. And imagine the first day, and again, no, knock on wood, I don't want anything bad to happen to the kid, but imagine the first day Charlie goes out with his friends and gets drunk at 22 years old, and people see him stumbling on the side of the road. And the media sees, oh, look, that's Charlie Woods, absolutely hammered. Click, 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 click. Just like his daddy. Come on now, guys. Like, we don't want to see that, but you know that's how the media rolls. So I worry about them more than I really worry about him. But with this now new development, we could potentially seeing a whole different level of problems. Let's all hope that's not the case, but we could. And that's the scary part about all this.
I don't know if any medication or prescription is that doesn't say don't drive,
or at least the heavy
under the
painkiller
influence.
ones
And
that
I
he would
mean,
be on.
the Norcos that were in his pocket, I know you can't drive with those.
Right.
But it's Tiger. I mean, I don't know if they can add charges because they already caught him with it and he was already in a wreck. So I don't know what else they could add to it. He is signed off. He's, out of the country in rehab. So I think he's taken the correct steps he needs to try to get this off his record and show that he's
True.
taking the step forward.
True.
But of course, in the media in the 24 hours, it's just going to be exposed to everybody and give people more meat to talk about.
And there is a side of sympathy to this for Tiger, because you're right. I mean, it's not like this guy's a druggie. He's not going out and, finding the bad stuff and trying to get high. He's doing it because he's in pain. This man has multiple surgeries on his back and his knees. I mean, he's got to be living with a ridiculous amount of pain every single day. So I get it, why you take them, but you still have to be responsible about it. Just because you were prescribed something to help with your pain doesn't mean that it's legal for you to take it and then go drive. It's just like everybody else, but everybody's, everybody being up in arms about it is more about the idea that this is now multiple times that Tiger has been busted with this kind of thing, at least just behind the wheel in general.
And if he was to kill somebody in the next wreck he has,
Exactly.
then they're going to be like, see, you should have put him away then.
Right. And that's what everybody's yelling is, how far is too far? When are we going to sit down and say this is too much? Is it going to take that? Is it going to take Tiger running into somebody and killing somebody while he's inebriated and driving for everybody to finally step up and do something about it?
I mean, what do you think is best? He should probably do some time.
I honestly, yeah. Again, if there are things in his system that he was not prescribed, yes. Because that means he's searching for other stuff or taking other stuff at the same time. And that's obviously wrong. But if there's nothing in his system that was not prescribed to him, I think you said it well, is he's taking the necessary steps to at least go through rehab and do that type of thing. But the best option for Tiger after that, if that is so the case and all of this is prescribed, just come out with a public apology. Say, I'm hiring a driver. I'm hearing all of you and you're all correct. I shouldn't be doing this anymore. And I'm going to take the final steps necessary to make sure this never happens again. You have to be so apologetic and so willing to change your life that it makes up for all of it. And we just know that you're never going to do this again. That's the only way that this is going to be rectified and everybody can walk away from it and we can all look at Tiger like Tiger again. Or, again, if there are nothing or no pills or any type of substance in his system that he wasn't supposed to be on. I mean, that's really the long and short of it for me is just let's make sure that's the case first, and then we go into the next steps. But if there is something in his system that he shouldn't have been taking, or, somebody gave to him and it's not prescribed, you're going to have to do at least a little bit at like 6 months to a year. Not major, because again, there are people that are getting out in 3 years that killed somebody. But you still got to do something to show that you have some sort of remorse for these actions. Because this isn't the first time. This isn't a slip of the mind. This isn't, oh, I made a mistake. I'm so sorry.
I'll never do it again.
I'll never do it again. I promise. No, that's not what this is. You've done it again and again and again and again. This is the kid that tells you to your face, I promise, Dad, I will never do that again. I will be a good boy. And then as soon as you turn your back, he runs and steals out of the cookie jar again. That's what this is. So we need firm commitment that this will never happen again. That's the only way I could see this being absolved. That's it. But again,
and knowing the stories in the past, they'll probably just take his license away, suspend it for a little while, and let him finish rehab.
And honestly, as much as I've seen in this world, getting your license suspended means absolutely nothing. People still will drive and will drive happily, just looking around at cops saying, oh, look, yeah, I'm driving too. Hee hee. It's like, God, you guys are dumb. If you don't have a license, don't drive, please. Just don't. The other crazy story that happened yesterday, I did not expect to see this, but Brandon Clark of the Memphis Grizzlies, the forward of 29 years old, passed away yesterday, and we found out that it was drug-related, possible drug overdose. When I looked back at this kid's his record in the NBA, solid player. Averaged about 10 to 12 points when he actually got a good amount of minutes. Didn't play much last year. I think he only played 2 games. But I don't know exactly what kind of situation this is, whether this is him, much like Tiger, taking pills to deal with pain after an injury, and he maybe took too much, or, the unfortunate side of a deeper problem. Yeah, exactly. But this, I think, shook the basketball world at least, because again, 29 years old. In 2019, he was averaging 12 points a game for the Grizzlies, playing 58 of them. He was a contributor to this team. And if you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan, you probably know who this guy is and knew of him and were a fan of him at one point. It's weird to see that a kid who played 200 plus games in the NBA, one, obviously have this happen, but two, have so little information about what happened. You know what I mean? All we're really hearing is that it's a possible drug overdose at the moment. But
that must have been an update, because last night when I was listening to it, they didn't disclose any of it. And I know, there was a couple passings yesterday. I know Jason Collins passed away as well. It's crazy.
The first openly gay player in the NBA, Jason Collins. I forgot about that. Yeah, no, he passed as well. Did we know what happened with him? I didn't see. Oh no, he was dealing with cancer.
Battling cancer.
He was battling cancer. That's right. So he actually succumbed to his situation as well. I don't know. These stories are always so rough to deal with. And I know I apologize that sometimes it seems like we just cover just these, but when we go down the list of stories to really cover, that's all that's really seen a lot of the time, especially with the Athletic and the ESPN articles and stuff. It's really just what's being talked about, but it's a horrible, horrible situation. I pray for the Clark family and the Collins family, unfortunately, both losing some big, big members. And I just hope everybody can, live on and figure out what they can do next. Because I mean, with these such serious situations, I know Collins obviously has been battling his situation for a while with cancer, but Brandon Clark, such a young, great talent that looked like he had a pretty solid upside in the league, at least as a role player, if anything. This just came out of nowhere, man. It really did. So I know we're going to be hearing some more information here in the next couple of days. ABC News is the one who released that it was a possible drug overdose yesterday as well. Kyle Kerr was the one who broke it to me. But I was not expecting to hear of a 29-year-old basketball player go this way. I really wasn't.
So we did get some positive news out of the shooting from Missouri running back who was shot a couple days ago at a hip hop concert, but he was released, and after a couple surgeries, he seems to be getting better, and he came out and said he hopes to play football this season. Of course, that's the competitive side to it, but he said that had nothing to do with him. It was just innocent standby. They had arrested 3 19-year-olds in the case, but it was just going to hip hop show and got shot in the leg. And of course, it's a running back that has been a stud,
country.
Right? I mean, he rushed for over 1,600 yards last year, and I just hope he heals and gets back on the field.
I do too, but this could be a great story for him too if he does. Ahmad Hardy is the kid's name. If you don't know, he was a transfer from UL Monroe the year before that. He's a stud. He's an absolute stud, and he was an all SEC running back last year. That's tough to do when you're playing for Mizzou, if I'm being honest. But I agree with you, Spark. I mean, the kid's 20 years old. Hopefully he can heal from this. He's been released from the hospital, so we're hoping and praying that we'll see him on the field this year. I don't know if you will. Luckily, he still has one more year of eligibility. So maybe we just take a year off, bounce back for his senior season, and this could be an incredible story, not only for Hardy, but just for the Mizzou team in general. And we could see probably, because this kid has all the talent in the world to be a top running back in his draft class, if not the top running back in his draft class. So I would hate to see his career end shortly, but Pete Thamel says there is a chance he does see the field again. So hopefully that is the case. And then one more quick feel-good story before we hit our break for you Ted Lasso fans out there. Cristo Fernandez, a.k.a. Danny Rojas, has signed a USL deal with, it's El Paso Locomotive. He'll be playing forward, I guess, or a 10-day contract with the team. It's more of a feel-good story just because we love the story of Ted Lasso. We love the show. It is fantastic. If you haven't watched it, it's on Apple TV. I apologize. But Cristo is one of the best characters in this show. He's so much fun to watch. And you often wonder, at least I do, I don't know about you guys, watching these shows like Ted Lasso where these actors play the sport that they're predicting. Sometimes, obviously, you could sit there and say, well, this is all staged and maybe they aren't as good as they look. Some of these athletes on this show on Ted Lasso, I'm pretty sure they look and play exactly the way that we're watching it on television. I don't think that there's any stretching of the imagination with how good these guys are. Cristo looked fantastic with the ball, in front of him during Ted Lasso. And I don't think that was just camera tricks. Now, is he going to play? That's not going crazy. Probably not. But they may throw him on the field just for feel good, purposes and for everybody to have a good clap and then go viral. But again, this is just a really fun story for those of you who are Ted Lasso fans out there and fans of Danny Rojas, as I am. And who knows, maybe we could see Jamie out there one day, or Roy Kent out there. Who knows? Let's take a break real quick, my friend. We'll get into some of the final stories before we get to our guest of the day. Mr. Michael Blackson will be joining us at 8 o'clock ahead of his show at the Well Comedy Club. Tickets are still available at thewellcomedyclub.com. Don't miss out, though, because we will be coming back with some updates from the NFL, as the NFLPA has come out and told the NFL exactly what they want in terms of turf or grass. So we'll let you know what they said on the other side. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM. Got some stories out of the NFL real quick before we get to our guest of the day as comedian and actor Michael Blackson, the African king of comedy, joins us at 8 o'clock ahead of his show at the Well Comedy Club. First and foremost, the NFLPA has come out and told the NFL exactly what they want in terms of turf versus grass. They are looking at all of these FIFA World Cup games being, or at least being given full grass fields for this tournament. Players are saying we want the same thing. JC Tedder, the head of the NFLPA, said they polled 1,700 players. 92% of them want grass. Half of the league right now has fields made of turf. Now, they understand that this transition is not going to be easy. It's going to make things a little bit difficult for the NFL to really keep these fields looking good because a lot of the weather conditions obviously aren't great in some of these cities. But they are really just trying to sit there and say that they prefer it because of the lack thereof of pain playing on it. If you've ever played on turf compared to grass, it really is night and day.
Playing like on cement.
It really is. And although there are positives to playing on turf, you're faster in some ways, quicker movements, there's still the glaring problem of you land on it, and man, does it feel like you just landed on hard asphalt. So these players have really been trying to get NFL teams to switch over, go to grass fields, and they want like higher end grass. They don't want just regular grass. They want everybody to use the same kind and put it up to the same, measurements and all that type of stuff. So do you think that this is actually possible, Spark? Do you think that they could potentially get the other 15 teams right now who are using turf fields to switch over?
I think sooner or later they'll be forced to, but I don't think it'll happen overnight. I think we saw it in Vegas. I mean, they've got a whole section under the stadium that is just filled with the turf. And, some of these teams, there's all sorts of them that do other sports. You know what I mean? And some of that grass that they are requesting won't work in other sports or other events, and it's not as easy as rolling it up and putting it to the side. But
Right.
they're going to be forced to do something.
Right. And they understand as well that obviously with grass, you can't just do that. You can't just roll it up and hope and pray it stays alive for you to put back on after the monster truck rally that you have that weekend. There are certain things that they want these owners to do to maintain these fields without the issue of potentially losing them or having some other group come in, do their event on their field and ruin it. They want these fields to be solely for football. They want these fields to be focused on that and to just make sure that they stay alive longer. The CBA for everything runs through 2030. So really they have until then to make all of these transitions happen. Or obviously we're going to be sitting down and talking about some more things when that CBA is done.
And Schefter was talking about it last night, saying this is just more stuff that the owners and the NFLPA are just adding up, because once they get into that meeting, they're going to use that as leverage for a longer season. And they'll be like, okay, we'll get you this if you do this. And you play this, I'll play that. And that's just business, and that's what the NFL does. But the money machine and backing the safety of the NFL players, I think it'll happen.
Yes.
It might be post, obviously 2030.
Right. And they did reference as well that the marginal differences between injuries on turf and injuries on grass really aren't that large. Like for a lot of people who say, well, you get injured more when you play on turf. You really don't. That's not the case they're trying to make here. But the case they're trying to make is it's just natural. It makes more sense to play on grass. And like we just highlighted, it hurts less. It just does. Plus, a lot of these players don't like playing on turf as much as people think they do. It looks nice, sure, and you don't have to handle upkeep as much. But realistically, it really isn't worth what you're putting your players through. It's not. Now, other news out of the NFL, they did release the international games for 2026. We'll get the whole schedule tomorrow, but the international games as it sits right now, you'll get the Rams and 49ers in week 1 in Australia. Then in week 3, the Ravens will be taking on the Cowboys in Brazil. Week 4, Colts against Commanders in London. Week 5, Eagles against Jaguars in London. Week 6, Texans against Jaguars in London. Week 7, Steelers against Saints in France. Week 9, you'll get the Bengals and Falcons in Spain. Week 10, the Patriots will be taking on the Lions in Germany. And then finally, week 11 will be the last one of the season where the Vikings will be taking on the 49ers in Mexico. Can we just move the Jacksonville Jaguars to London already?
It's not going to happen.
For the second or third year in a row, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be having them do back-to-back home games in London.
3 in a row. That's crap.
Just tell them they're moving to London. Like,
as they just opened up a new stadium.
Right?
It's not going to happen, but it is stupid.
It's so weird. It is so odd to me that this is, again, back-to-back weeks for, like Sparky just said, 3 years in a row where Jacksonville's going to not only have an advantage because they're not leaving London. They're staying there for the week, which means they don't have jet lag for that second game. But if you're going to do this, at least just tell the team, like, hey, Shad, I know you want to stay in Jacksonville, but we got money for you in London, so we're going to move you. If we're just going to do it, just do it already. This is just ridiculous. But the NFL loves these overseas games. If they had it their way, we're going to get one every single week here in about a year or two. That is really what their plan is.
2030.
I don't think it's going to work out like they want it to. I really don't. I know they want to expand the game and they want to get more global audiences, but I don't know. I don't know if a game a week is really going to work in that area.
I'm just glad they subbed the Dolphins out because they were supposed to be the game that played the Niners in Mexico.
Oh, really?
They're like, no, let's get a better team out there.
Falcons and Bengals in Spain is going to be interesting. I don't know how many people are actually going to be going to these games, though. You know what I mean? Like, we talk about it as if everybody's going to be packing out these stadiums. We'll see what happens this year. Maybe the audience has grown overseas, but I'm skeptical. I'm not going to lie. Let's take a break. Comedian and actor Michael Blackson supposed to be joining us on the other side ahead of his show at the Well. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM. Sorry, I didn't want to step on Sparky there. You got to hear him sing for once. There he is. We have not heard from Mr. Blackson yet, so hopefully we'll hear from him before the end of the segment, but he is supposed to be joining us here momentarily, talk about his show at the Well Comedy Club. Plus, I wanted to get his thoughts on the Kevin Hart roast over the weekend.
Did you watch it?
I did. It's fantastic.
I have it on my queue. I haven't watched it yet.
It's really bad. They had to go through and I guess cut out 16 jokes from the live show. Yeah, which also irritated me because I forgot about the live part of it. I really wished I could have watched it live, but I totally forgot. And
I did read a story this morning that the George Floyd family came out and was not happy with Kevin Hart approving some of the jokes that were said. But
look, dude,
it's a roast.
It's a roast. Y'all really got to let that go. I'm sorry. This is literally the only space in comedy where anything goes. Anything. I hate when you hear them say, "Oh, I was told I wasn't supposed to talk about that." Stop. There is no limits. This is a roast. Okay. This is the whole point of it. You're supposed to get roasted bad. Now, again, did Tony Hinchcliffe have to say something like that? Hell no. But that's Tony Hinchcliffe. It's Kill Tony. Are you kidding? This man is Jeff Ross 2.0. He's going to be the next Roastmaster General. Let's be honest. So are we surprised it came from him? No. And honestly, I thought Shane Gillis was going to be the one to get most of the problems because he was the host of the whole thing. And even he knew from the beginning of his set, this was not going to go well for him in LA. At all. Like you'll see it when you watch Sparky, but he says some they left in there just because. But wow, some of them are pretty dang bad. And it's all in good fun. Like they're not hateful towards each other. At least some of them weren't. Chelsea Handler kind of seemed like she was a little bit there for a while, but everybody seemed really good. Everybody seemed like they were all there for good fun. Pete Davidson was fantastic once again. Oh, Naeem. I can't remember his last name, but he's a guy from BET that writes with Kevin. He was the standout to me, but he took a couple shots at Dave Chappelle, so I'm expecting some retaliation here in the next couple of days. So again, if you haven't watched the roast of Kevin Hart on Netflix, highly recommend you do. Watch it with, an open mind of comedy though. Don't go in expecting to be, offended by stuff. Because you're going to get offended. Trust me.
Yeah, don't watch a roast if you're going to be offended.
Yeah. Lizzo came out with a whole bunch of little people that danced around as Kevin Hart's, major movie roles. Like that.
Minihausen's.
Yes, exactly. But it's all in good fun. Like it's not meant to be taken seriously. That's why I knew they were going to get hate for it because a lot of those jokes were really bad. But it's a roast, man. What do you expect? It's not meant for everybody.
And we'll hear more. I know I was talking to Rivers yesterday. He does the roast battle here in town at the Well Comedy Club. And he said that his co-host on the battle will be joining Trevor on Monday. So we'll get more info on that roast here in town. But speaking of Netflix, I know yesterday they announced that the NFL Honor Show is now moving over to Netflix. And I only bring it up because we've talked about, we have a promo running right now is how close we are to a pay-per-view Super Bowl.
Yep.
And one of the stories that came out or questions that were directed to the CEO of Netflix yesterday was, with the amount of live sports that Netflix has been doing. I believe they have the Rousey fight this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of stuff going on with Netflix, whether it's live comedy or live, sports or whatever. And he immediately came out and said that they're all about live premiere games, but they have no interest on being the home of Sunday Ticket. I'm like, okay, we'll see.
I mean, again, you say that now, but then you probably look at the numbers that Sunday Ticket makes and you say, we can make that much? We can add that onto our deals? And
he said he's all about eventized games, not a full season, not Sunday Ticket.
See, here's my thing though. If you're going to get in on the game, get in on the game, get in on all of it, because that's what fans want. I mean, we've heard so many fans of basketball complain this postseason, although it has been one of the most watched postseasons in NBA's history. They still don't know where to go for the games. A lot of people are confused if it's on Prime or if it's on NBC, if it's on Peacock. we have too many options. We have to figure out a way to do it, kind of like the WWE is doing it. Just pick one. All of it is going on Peacock, or all of it is going on Netflix, or all of it is going on Prime. Like, it would make it so much easier for everybody. And honestly, with Netflix growing the way it is, there's no way you can be all for live games and not for the biggest live game format that there is, which is, oh, I don't know, the NFL League Pass. Come on, dude. You really think we believe that? Like, no, you're maybe saying that now because you don't want people knowing that you're sniffing around. But yeah, I highly, highly would think that Netflix at some point is going to be knocking on the door of Roger Goodell saying, hey, that League Pass thing could be really good with us. We could figure out a way to do this a partnership. And honestly, they don't even have to incorporate it into Netflix. You can make it a whole different app and just say NFL League Pass by Netflix.
Yeah, Sunday Ticket by Netflix.
Yes, exactly.
Anything would be better than YouTube, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And again, that's the biggest thing is YouTube's just overpricing of everything has been absolutely crazy. And I get YouTube TV gives you the option of all of that at the same time, and it's all in one uniform place like we're actually asking for, but the price of that is just far too much for everybody else. Do we have our guest? Fantastic. It's time to talk to one of the most energetic and funniest people that I have grown up watching in my lifetime. I loved watching him on Wild 'N Out. You may have seen him in Next Friday or along the lines of his entire career on television or acting. I'm not going to, stretch this interview. Or I'm sorry, I'm not going to stretch this intro out any farther because I want to get to this man. But Michael Blackson is joining us. Sir, good morning.
What's up, mother sucker?
Thank you for joining us, my friend. We appreciate you. Real quick.
Man, thanks for having me, man. So you guys in Bakersfield, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. What happened to Bakersfield, man? Was there a civil war in that city?
I mean, no, we're pretty calm at the moment. I think we'll be good. You're coming in on a good weekend.
At the moment.
You're coming in on a good weekend. This is actually event time for Bakersfield, so everybody's very lively.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I was there last year, and it was my first time there, and I'm, driving around, checking out the city. In fact, I think I went there one time, too, and I think my boy Joe Core was in town, and I happened to go to the show and actually did a guest appearance, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think what Bakersfield. I hope it was. I'm not sure.
I did see you. I saw you last year at I believe it was the Well right before it closed and moved over to their new location.
Yes. Now I'm definitely looking forward to the new location. I saw some pictures online. I think D.L. Hughley was there last weekend.
Yes, sir.
Yes, he was.
Yes, I saw some pictures and I'm excited about the new look because one thing about comedy, that intimacy, that look, all matters. Like I think the last place that was there kind of like looked like a bar area.
Mm-hmm.
So the look wasn't that perfect comedic look. But I think this one does. And I'm excited about coming there and, doing our thing. And I think the hot thing right now, everybody talking about is this roast. So, if you're going to come to my show and sit in the front row, just make sure you look appropriate because you will turn into a comedy roast. That's what I do.
We were just actually talking about this most recent Kevin Hart roast.
Yes, you know what? The thing about it, I didn't know the date of the roast till later. By the time I find out about the date of the roast, I was already booked in Chicago. I was actually spent Mother's Day in Chicago at a show at a nice theater in the south side of Chicago. So I couldn't be there. But goodness, I wish I was there, man. I think everyone would have got it. I mean, from, of course, Kev, because the thing about Kevin Hart, nobody there really knows this guy besides, like the Naeem. Naeem knows him, but Naeem is like his plus one at a party.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So Naeem's not going to talk crap about him. With Naeem, to him, it's like down there Rollins to Dave Chappelle. That's like his little plus one at a club.
Well, that's what was funny to me was he took a lot of shots at Dave Chappelle during this roast.
Well, Dave wasn't even there. I think the person's not there. It wasn't fair. But Kev, we grew up in Philly. In fact, right now, I'm currently right outside of Philly. I was raised in Philly. That's how, we saw Kev coming up. He used to open up for us. Now, table turn, and he became a super duper star. That nobody knows Kev more than we know him.
Mm-hmm.
We all know Kev is a bitch, right?
True. Very true.
Kev caught ice on me a few years ago.
No kidding.
I'm just kidding, man.
I was
Cat
like,
wears
what?
called ice on me, not Kev.
That would have been funny. So you've worked with Kev. Obviously, you started in Philadelphia back in '92, but like, what was it like kind of starting with Kev and you guys starting out that way and growing into what you are now?
Well, so here, this is what happened. So Kev, like I started out way before him. He started, he was more like 96, maybe 95, 96. I'm more like 92, 92 was more open mic night. So, I probably got my face out there maybe 94. I'll say 94 for me. And he's more like 96, right?
Yes.
So, me and Kev, I mean, in so many stories, you can look at them online. It was one point where me, him, and two other comics from Philly driving to New York. We all got arrested. We all end up in some holding cell in Newark, New Jersey, because we was in a car that the other comedian that owned the car had like the license plate of another car, so they thought the car was a stolen car, and the state troopers pulled us over, pulled guns out. You could read that story online. Look up like Facebook. Crazy. Look up Michael Blackson and Kevin Hart getting arrested. So I've seen Kev from Open Mic Night, where his original name was Little Kev the Bastard. Did you know that?
I remember hearing that.
That was his name. That was his name when he first started. Little Kev the Bastard. Now, unlike me, Kev, when he finally put an act together, Kev would go to New York and work those rooms, those mainstream rooms. Like the Cellar, the places where Chris Rock, all those guys would hang out, and that's what Kev was doing. That's what Kev was, and Kev got hooked up with a guy named Keith Robinson. So Keith Robinson connected Kev with those right people, like the Dave Becky. Dave Becky was he's the main guy behind 3 Arts Management, right? It's like the #1 comedy management on earth. Right. So Dave Becky was the guy. So Kev got kind of like connected with those guys. So Kev was going to New York, working those mainstream rooms. Me, on the other hand, when I got my break next Friday, I instantly became a super ghetto star, right? A super duper ghetto star. Like me, like every black person knew who I was, So I just started like working and going to Detroit and going to New York and Jersey and everywhere, picking up. I went from making like $500 a show. When the next Friday came out, I went to like $2,500 a show.
Wow.
So I was going everywhere in the country, picking up $2,500, stacking up my money while Kev, was doing the mainstream room. Now, here's a very interesting story about Kev. So when we all got arrested, the day we had to go to court, right? The day we had to go to court in Newark, New Jersey was the same day I had to come to LA to audition for next Friday. So it was a big nightmare. So I remember me and Kev renting a car from Philly. We drove. Me and Kev was the only one that went to court. The other two guys, one name is Buck Ward, the other guy is Toure Gordon. Those two guys didn't come to court. So they later had like warrant for their arrest.
Yeah.
But me and Kev showed up to court. It was January of 1999. I'll never forget, right? It was January of 1999. Me and Kev rented a car, drove from Philly to Newark, New Jersey, had a 9 a.m. court appearances, got out of there by 10 o'clock, 10:30, made it back in Philly for me to catch a 1:50 p.m. flight for me to land in LA around like 5 o'clock to make a 6 p.m. audition.
Dang.
Crazy, right? And all that, I actually just finished writing my book, which is the first 40 years of my life. And I'm going to put that out right now I'm looking for a publisher, and then, hopefully it will come out towards the end of the year.
Nice.
Sometime like that.
Can't wait.
But me and Kev, we go way back. So nobody knows those little midget like I know him. So they're lucky. They're lucky I was not in that place.
I was shocked you weren't. I mean, I know you guys have a standing going back a long time, even back at Wild 'N Out and before that. And I'm like, I was very much expecting you to be a part of this panel. I was disappointed not to see you up there.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Sometimes I'm not sure how much of a control he had over the panel.
True.
I'm sure he picked all like the Naeem, certain people he picked. But then, of course, Netflix picked the rest, whether he wanted them or not. Like Cat Williams, I'm 100% sure he did not say, "Hey, I want Cat Williams on his roast."
Right.
Definitely did not. Cat don't really like him. I don't care how much you hug each other. Cat still don't like this little midget.
That's actually, I was gonna be my next question is what your thoughts were, because I know you've had your run-in with Cat too. So what did you think of that whole thing?
Even with Cav, me and Cav has had beef moment that we kind of made up as well. You know, me and Cav had our moments. I thought we made up, but then he go back on social media and then and I realized we didn't make up. You shake hands and then it's like kind of like you ever see like two dogs barking at each other.
True.
They just open up the gate, they don't do nothing, they just walk away. It's kind of like that. So but I thought me and Kat made up, and then he went back on social media, and then I was like, I guess we didn't make up. Not social media, when he did the interview with Shannon Sharp.
Yeah,
I realized that we did not make up, so which is fine.
Yeah,
the thing about it, comedy to me is comedy. As long as we keep it comedy, as long as as long as comedy things doesn't turn to a Tupac biggest situation where people are losing their life, and if as long as it's all fun and jokes, it's beef. Comedy beef is fine.
Right.
It's fine as long as it's all jokes. Because even till today, Cat, when he did his tour, somebody hit me up like, "Hey, Mike, Cat is on stage talking about when Trump went in office, he called ice on you." It was Cat that called ice on me. It wasn't Cat, actually. It was one of them midget guys did. I'm not sure which leprechaun did it.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So I mean, we're close friends with Dan Betts, the owner of the Well Comedy Club. So of course, when we heard you were coming into town, we had to get you on the show. So we always ask the comedians, what was the comics that you grew up watching that really said, I want to do this?
I mean, my first love of comedy came from watching Eddie Murphy.
Of course.
I've been in America for probably a couple of years, and I'm watching I'm not sure what I was watching. I know I saw like Delirious. And then after I saw that, I'm like, my guy, and mind you, I'm a teenager, so I'm like, my God, this guy's funny. And after that, I just started looking for everything he's been on. I started looking for all his other work, from like Raw to Beverly Hills Cops 1 and 2. I kind of like fell in love with that guy. And I'm going to fast forward to like, whatever, 25 years later, I'm working with this guy.
I was just about to bring that up. What was it like working with him on Coming to America 2?
It was incredible. And the thing about it, we was on set, and I finally got a chance to like, have a one-on-one with him. He was like, when we wrote this particular scene, he said, Mike, you was the one we had in mind for it.
That's awesome. That is so
cool. Man, it made me feel so good. I'm like, damn, this guy that's been my idol my whole life is watching me. Like, he knew who I was. And I mean, don't get it wrong, it wasn't the first encounter I had with him. I remember I ran into him one time at the Comedy Store in LA, and he had just he was there. Chris Tucker just performed, and I think I performed right before he came in, so I don't think he got the chance to see my set. To make a long story short, I remember being outside, and he saw me like, "Oh, you the African guy?" And he did his little laugh. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy knows who I am. So it made me feel.
His laugh. Growing up, I used to take my dad's VHSs and hide up in the room, and I watched Delirious and Raw, and some of those Rodney Dangerfield specials, and I was hooked, man. That type of comedy, and I'm hoping guys like you that are bringing back this. I mean, the social media. Everyone thinks they're a comedian until you see him on stage. I'm like, well, that wasn't anything like I expected. No. But I'm looking forward to you're doing Absolutely. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, and we're pumped to have you back here in Bakersfield, man.
I'm excited. I think the last time I was there was just kind of like my first time, and I think this time gonna be even 20 times better. I'm excited about the new club. And everybody, if you come to my show, please look your best, please.
You will be seeing one of the best roast comics on the planet, in my opinion. Watching you and DC Young Fly going at each other on Wild 'N Out, it's always entertaining no matter what. Is there any chance that you and maybe that group are going to collab at some point again?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, we did a few tours together. In fact, I will be in New York next month in New York. We have a big show at the Barclays Center, which is a Wild 'N Out show again.
Nice.
And me and DC going to be out it again. DC's going to be on the show. And then I'm not sure if that's our final tour of the Wild 'N Out live tours or not, but I know June 28th we're in New York, and me and DC will be going back at it.
That's great.
And something else I'm trying to do too now is like produce movies.
Yes.
In fact, I'm shooting my first one in Ghana, West Africa this summer. So, and after that one, I'm going to do one where I'm going to have me and DC co-star against each other, or bring the whole cast back, bring that raw talent, that Beverly Hills Cops type of comedy back, that Come to America original one back. You know, I'm not letting go. I'm not falling for the new era stuff. I'm going back to old school stuff. You know, the things that we really cracked up at.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that. Do we have a date pretty much kind of set for that or no?
Not yet. I have a shooting date. I'm shooting up in July 14th for like 10 days. It'll be shot in Ghana. It will start with parts of it is in America, but most of the part will be shot in Ghana, West Africa. It's kind of like a Scarface spoof.
Okay.
All right. So instead of selling cocaine, we are selling illegal BBL. So look for this, man. Coming out very
Oh, that's going to be incredible. Mr. Blackson, thank you so much for your time, man. We appreciate you joining us this morning, and I can't wait to see you this weekend.
Thank you, man. I'll see you guys later.
Absolutely. Let's take a quick break, my friend. We'll get into some other stories on the other side. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGO Sports Talk 101.1 FM. Big thanks to Michael Blackson for joining us. Again, go check him out at the Well Comedy Club. Tickets are still available for his Friday and Saturday show.
We got a couple pairs. I'm just saying. But you got to hit us up on Instagram if you want them.
Absolutely. This is why you need to be following us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. You get access to all of this. If you missed the Michael Blackson interview, don't worry. It's going to be reposted later tomorrow. It will be up there for you to enjoy right before his show. And he's a fantastic comedian, one of the best roast comedians in the country. He really is.
Dude, he has a picture on his Instagram with his face covered on Michael Jackson's body on the Bad album. And I was cracking up.
He's great, dude. Like you could tell just from him talking to us, like he's a very genuine person. Very, very genuine, very funny. Just he enjoys what he does. And I love people like that. If you're somebody who enjoys what you do, I'm all for it, man, because that's what life should be about. And it's a really cool story, too, for him. Not only like he just told us coming up in the comedy space in Philadelphia with guys like Kevin Hart, getting a role in 2000 by Ice Cube when he opened up for Mike Epps one day. And Ice Cube loved him so much that he said, hey, come read for Next Friday. And then he was a minor role in Next Friday. You really won't remember him very much in Next Friday unless you really love that movie. But he was so good in it that, like he just told us, he not just doubled how much he was making in his shows, 5 times what he was making after that. That's incredible.
I'd be happy too.
I would too. I mean, I thought he was joking when he was at Club Shay Shay and he was like, I'm a rich man now. I don't need to worry about this. They build the clothes on me. I'm like, man, if you went from 500 a show to 2,500 a show just for doing a movie, and it's not even like you were the star of the movie, you were just a 5-minute blurb in it, but you were still one of the funniest parts about it.
There's a guy that was returning his CD or something.
Yes, exactly. That he walks into Pink's and he's mad because the CD is not what the guy told him it would be. And it's fantastic.
I love Mike Epps too.
Yes, it's just so good. And I'm telling you, man, like talking to guys like that just make my day because it makes it so fun to be fans of these people because it's just like, all right, this guy's a genuine dude. Like I like that.
That's why I like Anthony Hudege.
Exactly. And then we'll talk to Anthony tomorrow as he'll be talking about the open mic and plenty other things that are going on at the Well Comedy Club. They have a whole bunch that you can go and buy tickets for right now. Just go to thewellcomedyclub.com. But we have a couple other sports stories that we got to get to. I got a feel good one for you, Sparky, and for wrestling fans. Brock Rocksteiner, the son of Scott Steiner, has officially signed his NFL deal. He is an undrafted free agent that's signed with the New Orleans Saints. He'll be playing wide receiver. Now, every undrafted free agent's contract is 3 years long. I want everybody to know that because everybody freaked out when Diego Pavia got a 3-year-long contract. It's because that's required by the NFL. They have to give a 3-year contract to undrafted free agents.
And none of it's guaranteed.
No, none of it. So it's a good story. Will the kid see the field? Probably during the preseason. And we're going to be hearing all about how his dad is Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump, and how he is a BA and was part of the NIL deal with the WWE, played at Jacksonville State where he caught 52 passes, 630 yards, and about 7 touchdowns, if I'm reading that correctly. Solid player, but again, it's a good story, but he's already come out and told everybody in the media, yeah, I'm going to ride out my football career as long as humanly possible. But we all know where he's going next, and that's to go join his cousin, Braun Breaker, in the WWE and potentially bring back the Steiners because, my God, is this man. He's a big boy. He's a big boy for a wide receiver. And one of the reporters brought up a really good question that I would have asked as well. You would assume that being a son of a legendary wrestler that you would probably go with more of the physical positions in football. We saw Roman Reigns play defensive end, defensive tackle. We've seen a lot of guys play linebacker that move into the NFL or into the WWE rather. Baron Corbin, I apologize, former Chicago Bears lineman. Physical positions, but he plays wide receiver. So how does that kind of add up? I would have asked the same question. All he had to say was, I just love the ball in my hand because you can still make people hurt just from running them over. I added that last part, but that's what he meant by that. And knowing how his family is, I mean, we could see him spear somebody just for playing wide receiver. You never know. We'll see what happens when it comes to Brock Steiner, but I like this. I love these types of stories where we get, the mix of family within sports, because it really is a brotherhood, like I said earlier. And when you see these guys get their opportunity, it's always a fun thing to actually get into. But one other story we have to talk about before we get out of here, the 76ers have let go of their general manager, Daryl Morey, after 6 seasons. This was probably written in the walls, if I'm being honest. The 76ers have had an incredibly talented roster, whether it be the years with James Harden or these now years with Paul George and Joel Embiid. And Daryl has been there for the majority of it. Now, Daryl also had his time with the Houston Rockets, which is how they got James Harden to come to Philadelphia, in my opinion. But they also gave James Harden and Paul Pierce 2 of the worst contracts in NBA history. And in his 6 years with Philadelphia, they never got past the second round. So, albeit he had some success in his former teams, but 6 years when you're already brought in to essentially help this team take that next step like you did Houston, and they're not taking them, especially with the roster you have right now, I got to say that this firing is probably pretty warranted.
Yeah, probably with the injury plague type players that he's signing.
Yeah.
And I know they kept the head coach. He's not going anywhere,
No.
but I'm still going to go with what you and Snacks were saying on Monday. It might be time to move on from Joel as well.
I think so. I think the process has really shown itself. I like Joel as a person. I think that he could be a great basketball player if he could stay on the court and stay healthy. And I mean, again, usually when we see players like this, when they're so injury prone, even when they play the game, it doesn't look like the self that we saw before the injury. Joel has never really been like that. Joel's the same Joel no matter what. Like, he usually steps on the court and he can drop 30. So he's talented. But again, it's
just keep him on his feet.
Right. And if you're the 76ers and you're putting all this money towards a star player who's barely there half the season, it's kind of like what I said about Austin Reeves. Yes, Austin Reeves has a lot of upside, but is it really worth the amount of money that you're going to have to pay him when he's only going to be dropping 16 to 18 points in the playoffs when you need him to drop more? And the same can be said about Joel Embiid, just in a different situation. We know Joel is going to produce, but how often is Joel going to be on the court? So money is going to have to reflect how much value that you bring to the team. I don't know how much value Joel brings to this team anymore, when it really is starting to look like they're building around Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe.
As they should.
Absolutely. So it may be time just to find the heir apparent to Joel. With this draft class being so deep, you could probably do so. And imagine that. We're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo being moved. If there's a trade with one of these, lottery pick teams for Joel Embiid, and the 76ers jump into that area, they could find a guy that could fill that void. And Joel can go find some success with a different team.
Get that big boy from North Carolina.
I'm just saying. So there are paths for the 76ers to really turn it around and find the relevancy and success they're hoping for. I know the president of basketball operations is a big piece of how you do that. But when you look at Daryl Morey, and I heard Evan Cohen say that this morning, and I kind of agree with him, but I don't know if it's that extreme. Evan calls Morey the most overrated basketball exec in the NBA's history. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, because I mean, there's guys like Nico Harrison that exist, but I do see his point that the lack of success, the lack of sustained success, even with all of these star players that have been a part of his teams, does bring up a lot of question marks. And I don't know if there's going to be a lot of NBA teams that are really going to be sprinting to his doorway to really sign him to a new contract.
Yeah, just stay away from Chicago. I'll be happy.
Yeah,
I know you brought up Giannis. I know the investigation that the NBA was taking part in that we talked about for the last month, but the way the Bucks season ended and how Giannis wanted to play, but the ownership and management wanted to bench him. And the NBA's investigation concluded, and there will be no actions as they couldn't prove anything. So,
right. And again,
big deal. And Giannis, I think Giannis is probably on his way out, and we'll hear more about it in the next couple of weeks as the draft combine. But another one is we brought up LeBron yesterday, and Lakers came out and said they don't want him to go anywhere.
True. Before we switch to LeBron, though, how much do you think this last season, especially with them holding him out, is really the distinction of why they have to get this trade done?
I think they should have done it last year.
Right. But do you think?
I don't think it changes anything.
You don't think it changed anything?
No,
You think
I think all this push and talk that they're doing right now, if Giannis was to call today and say, I don't want to go anywhere, then they're going to throw all that crap away and be like, okay.
That's a fair point. That's absolutely a fair point because they wouldn't give up on Giannis if he actually wanted to play there. But I do feel like them holding him out at the end of the season when he wanted to play. You heard me say it, though. There was really no reason for him to play. You're not playing for anything. It just would hurt his stock if he got hurt again. So it really doesn't help if he was on the court regardless. But I do think that friction between the two kind of led to what we are seeing right now, which is they're looking to trade his butt right now before this draft combine.
I think that's all talk.
You think so?
I don't think they're going to do anything. I don't think the ball's in their court. I think it's really on Giannis. I think Giannis in the trade clause that he has, he gets to pick where and if he was interested, and he's got them really by the cojones, and they can't really do anything about it.
And in the same respect, the ball's in LeBron's court too. As you just brought up, the Lakers came out yesterday. Pelinka and JJ Redick both say they want Reeves and LeBron back.
Not going to happen.
I doubt that happens as well. But when you look at what they're trying to build, I guess it would make sense. They want to end LeBron's career in LA. I just don't know if you have enough money really to make that happen. And like I just said, the ball is really in LeBron's court. Does he want to go back to LA? Does he want to continue to be the third best player on a team? Now, if he goes to Cleveland, he would still be the third best player on the team, technically, because the offense would be run through either Donovan Mitchell or James Harden. But he would at least be a bigger piece and would have a better shot in championship, in my opinion. Whereas if he goes anywhere else, he might have a shot of being the second best player, if not the best player, depending on how bad the team is. So as we heard Danny Green say on Monday with that audio that we played, it really is going to depend on what LeBron feels like he's valued, or where he feels he's valued, rather. It's all going to be based on him and what he wants to do. And I hear a lot of Laker fans, saying, oh, we could get this, we could get that for him. You can't get anything for him. He's a free agent. You don't have a contract with him. And I highly doubt the Lakers are going to sign him to anything just to trade him away to somebody, unless the deal is really good. But a sign and trade situation, I don't think is in the cards here. He's an unrestricted free agent. And much like Giannis, it's going to be depending on him where he wants to go. So although JJ's come out and said he wants LeBron back, does LeBron want to be back?
And I don't think Reeves wants to be back, personally.
You don't think so?
I think Reeves is, he said it before last season started, and I still think his relationship with Luka is going to be pivot, but I think he wants to get paid.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's what all these guys want to get paid, especially if you're a big name on your team. I feel like the Lakers would pay him, though. I feel like they like what they've seen from him so far. Although you're right. I mean, you could really make an argument that guys like Alex Caruso were probably in the same situation. They let him go. But, I mean, Austin Reeves has had a lot of upside for this team. I personally don't think you need to sign him to a max contract or anything like that.
But somebody will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sadly. And my Bulls have been projected to do that, which I would not be happy with, but I get it.
Another guard?
Yep. And another thing is the Bulls just got $20 million more than everyone. So they're going to do what a lot of people do when they are stacked and stacks of salary cap money. They're going to pay a bunch of players probably a little bit too much. And hopefully that's not LeBron, and hopefully it's not, I would love to have Giannis, but it doesn't have him a step forward or a step closer to a championship.
Yeah. And that's going to be the big thing for Giannis and LeBron, is which one of these teams can get them to that championship.
And the more I keep listening to these sports talk show hosts on the way into work, they keep pushing LeBron to the Warriors. And I don't know, there's always a way to find a way to pay these players. But if I have to watch LeBron and Draymond and Curry together,
I don't think you're going to have to see that. I really don't. I think that that's a nice idea. But again, there's nobody that has worse cap space right now.
It doesn't matter.
I know. They'll figure out a way as the Carr brothers have very much shown everybody, or at least in the NFL, rather, cap space is all a fugazi. It's all just a number. It doesn't exist. It's just whatever. But I have to sit there and say, I could see LeBron and Curry playing together. I just don't know if it's in Golden State. Now, again, maybe this is the Cleveland Cavalier fan in me, but say he goes back to Cleveland and then he looks at Cleveland's front office and says, take James and that big guy with the fro, send him to Golden State for Steph.
Curry's not trading.
No, he's
Curry.
not. But I'm
That's
just
the only reason
saying,
he's playing.
Curry from Cleveland.
Yeah,
They're from the same city. I'm just saying, he's never played there. We could make it happen. And imagine the two Cleveland boys bringing a championship back to Cleveland. I'm just.
I
saying,
can definitely see Golden State getting out of that Butler contract and making everything happy with LeBron. But I don't think even a LeBron and Curry team, with or without Draymond, I don't think it's any closer to a championship.
And honestly, if you did bring in LeBron, I feel like that would mean Draymond is gone because they would be playing a similar style. You would probably funnel the offense through him, and it would be well, I wouldn't say it's pointless to have both of them, but it'd be difficult to really run them both at the same time. And
they'd be going at each other's neck by the All-Star break.
I was just about to bring that up. And we've seen Draymond butt heads with almost every superstar outside of Steph Curry that's ever stepped foot in this locker room. So is it going to even work out in a chemistry sense? We'll see. Because remember, the one series that the two of them actually got at odds led to a suspension. So they may not even like each other right now, for all we know. And that may factor in as well. I like the idea of him to the Warriors. I do, but I don't know if that actually ends up happening. I think, again, for both Giannis and LeBron, I think their destinations are out east because both of them won a championship. And let's be honest, the easier of the sides right now to get there would be the Eastern Conference because there's one, maybe two teams that you really have to worry about. Whereas the West Coast, you're looking at 4 to 5.
If you really want a championship, just go to OKC or San Antonio.
This is true, but God knows how much hate both of them would get if they ended up grouping up with those guys. We'll see what happens. Let's take a break real quick, my friend. We'll get into the final stories of the day here. Plus, for those of you who are fans of the Boys series, the new episode dropped yesterday. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, I promise. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. That was so much fun to watch. Let's get into it on the other side. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
We had a listener said, "Is Burdick high or drunk? Curry is not going anywhere. He's sure the hell ain't going to Cleveland."
Look, man. Again, I told you, maybe it's the Cleveland fan in me just speaking out loud. I'm crazy today. I apologize. We have to talk to Michael Blackson. Okay, I could be a little crazy sometimes. I'm neither high nor drunk. Do not do that on the
It's too
radio.
early.
Far too early for that. Far too early. Shame on you. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. We got about 3 or 4 minutes left before we get out of here for the day. Join us tomorrow, 7 to 9. As always, we got Anthony Howdeggy and Bolt Brady coming in. Bolt will get you ready for game 6 between the Spurs and the Thunder, as well as game 6 between Cleveland and Detroit. And we'll get his thoughts on if either of those series will be wrapping themselves up before the end of the weekend.
I tried to invite Adele to jump in with Howdeggy before they roast.
He doesn't want to do it. What?
Silence.
Wow.
So there you go, Anthony.
There's some ongoing beef between the two of them too. I saw all of that, man. Anthony's already throwing some shots across the bow, so we'll see what happens here. I mean, we've already seen it once. We've seen one man underestimate Mr. Andrew Idell, and he got the better of him, Anthony. I'm just saying.
But it is Wednesday, so the only thing I'm looking forward to besides NBA playoffs is the new and second to last episode of The Boys.
I already ruined one big thing for myself, but I am going to watch it tonight. I'll rewatch it, I should say. I ran through it last night, but I was half awake, so I barely remember a lot of the major things. But this season has been so incredible. I want to know where they're going to go to end this entire show. I don't think it's going to be like the comic, though, which sucks. I was hoping it was going to be something along those lines.
I'm seeing a lot of reviews of people upset because they've been pushing a lot more of the prequel into this story. I was like, well, what do you think they're going to do?
They need to make the spinoff. They have to, make sure the spinoff is coming. And who cares? I'm all for knowing where Soulja Boy came from and Bomb Sight and Liberty and all the rest of these people. Who cares? Who's against this? Like, I don't
I'm just
understand
glad Firecracker's gone.
So yeah, honestly, I love her as an actress. She was fantastic. But yeah, that character itself was kind of a little too much. For those of you who don't watch the show, Firecracker is this... what was her power? Actually, I don't think they ever showed her use her powers.
I didn't think she had any.
I don't know, but her main thing was she was a talking head for the bad guys on news, radio, and all that type of stuff. So
she was Hannity.
Yeah, essentially, she really was. She was Hannity, and yeah, that swiftly got taken care of after a while when she started going the other way. This story has gotten so good, though. If you haven't watched The Boys, you really need to. I know we talk about it all the time on this show, but it's because
it's a good show.
It's so much fun to watch. And the other thing, if you were a Marvel fan, that Punisher One Last Kill series came out last night. I haven't gotten to watch it yet. It's 45 minutes long, but I have seen a lot of reactions to it. And I did catch the beginning scenes of it. Wow. I didn't think Disney would ever go this far. It's brutal. Like it's old school Punisher brutal. So if you're a fan of that kind of a thing, if you want to see John Barenthal just go balls to the wall, taking out every mafia member he can find, that's essentially what this series or what this special is. And I think this is them kind of dipping their toe in the water to kind of see if people are interested enough for an entire series of his. If this goes well enough, we could see John Barenthal in his own Netflix series, or Disney Plus series as the Punisher, and I think that'd be a lot of fun to watch. That's just my personal opinion. I love John Barenthal. Any excuse I can get to see that man in a movie, I'm all for it. We have run out of time, though. Hopefully you guys join us tomorrow. I apologize. I've been stuttering all over myself today. Anthony Howdeggy will be joining us from the Well, talk about their open mic at 8 o'clock. Bolt Brady will be with us at 8:30 to set you up for the NBA playoffs, plus much, much more out of the world of sports that we will have for you ourselves. Plus, all of you, feel free to chime in at any point in time, 661-842-2000. We will read off your text messages or comments on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. But until then, Sparky, let's get out of here.